I'm Chris Noggle, America's #1 money mentor, and today I get to take you behind the scenes with one of our clients who's using the money multiplier method to fund real estate. I'm so excited. We'll see you behind the scenes. So we are going to enter the journey into becoming the bank with Mr. Burr. All right, so with this, man, what I want to do is for today, I really want to dive into, what you've got going on, like some of the things that your goals were, but I want to take a step back because you heard about the money multiplier on a podcast. Is that correct?
Correct. It was on Steve Trang's podcast.
Okay, so what happened? Like you saw Steve Trang's podcast where I explained the infinite banking concept and the money multiplier. What went through your head at that point?
I was thinking it's too good to be true, really. So I didn't think much of it, didn't look into it much more. And then somebody else told me that they heard that podcast. I'm like, all right, so maybe I'll research this a little bit. And I started doing some research on it. I'm like, if this is possible, this is the one thing that I need to catapult my business and my wealth and my family's wealth and build generational wealth. That's the way I looked at it. So I was excited once I started diving into it and learning more.
So the first time you saw it, you were like, this sounds way too good to be true. There's no way this exists, because if it did, I would have heard about it before. But then you had somebody else say, I heard that too. And like where did that epiphany come where you actually were like, this might be real?
I think it was because COVID hit I think mid-March, right? And everything shut down. My business went to zero because I was getting all my deals from networking, going to meetups and things like that. So I had all this time on my hands. So all I did during that time was just YouTube videos. I read Nelson Nash's book. I just dove into it head first. And the more I learned, I was like, this has to be real if there's all this proof of it. How can I do it? Who do I reach out to? And then I'm thinking, I heard about it on the podcast. I should just reach out to Chris. So that's when I messaged you on Instagram.
And I'll never forget that, because I remember I did that podcast and we got a ton of people calling, but then when I got you, you were like the real estate investor, your wife had the corporate job, and it was just like this really cool fit. But what was so unique about you is you kind of had a vision for what you wanted to do with this. You weren't coming into this saying, hey Chris, how do I use this? You already had a vision on what to do with this, with your real estate business. So it was already kind of materializing. I think really, and I remember this, I remember you were very standoffish in the beginning, very much like, I want to try it, I want to test it out. So, what were let's go into what were some of your goals? When we first looked at this, you had some goals on how you wanted to use that. So let's talk about these goals that you had.
Well, I wanted to grow my wealth. So I wanted to build wealth through this. I had just started in real estate investing in October, so I wanted to grow that as much as I could, that business.
So you wanted to scale that?
Correct.
Okay. All right. What else?
And then I also wanted to help my mom. So I'm the youngest of three. Kind of always been a mama's boy at heart. So she's struggled really her whole life. Not because she doesn't work hard, but just because she's never been able to make a lot of money. So I just wanted to give back to her. She's driving a really old car. That's my next thing is buy her a car. But she's living in a 1-bedroom studio apartment. It's 400 square feet. So I just wanted to get her into a nicer place through real estate. And then I want to, like I said, get her a car and just be able to help her out as much as I can because she raised me and I think she did a decent job.
I love that, man. And Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough people get what they want, you get what you want. And there's no one better than, your mom. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but I'm somewhat of a mama's boy. Sort of made a shirt called Mama's Boy Screw Rebellion. I love my mom. So we share that same thing. So I admire that. So that's phenomenal. all right, so we're going to grow your wealth. We're going to, improve and scale that real estate business, and along the way, help your mom, and then also buy your mom a car. Now, with the money multiplier method, we talk about cars a lot. So, like, what was one of the things you really liked about the video when you saw it that talked about cars? Like, you mentioned a car, so why not get into that a little bit?
Well, that kind of plays into another one of my goals, which stop paying the banks so much interest. Because the more I dug into it, I found out how much the banks actually make with the fractional reserve and the fact that they lend the money out and they pay us nothing. I think my regular bank pays me 0.06%. It's ridiculous. So I wanted to stop paying the banks so much money by financing cars, getting hard money loans for real estate deals, credit cards, all that kind of stuff. Just get that money back in my pocket instead of giving it to them.
Anything else we wanted to do? This is my favorite, just so you know, by a long shot. And the fact that we can kind of accomplish all of these, we can grow your wealth, we can improve the scale of your real estate business. And really, if you think about number 2 and number 4, these two are interconnected, because right now you're using your money, your bank, to not have to give away so much money. But one of the things with scaling your business, what was a huge problem with your business before when you were buying flips? We talked a little bit about that, but in terms of who was getting all the money on every deal you did.
Well, I'll never forget this. It was my first flip. Didn't go the way I thought. Went over on budget. You know how that goes. So didn't sell it for what I thought I was going to sell it for. And the hard money lender made more money than I made. So I'm like, they're always going to get their money by me paying them interest. And if I don't pay them interest, they get the house, right? So that was the biggest thing, is like, I gave all this money to them and I made less than they made. They did nothing but just lend me the money. So that was before I learned about infinite banking. And then when I was like, if I can just not pay them, I'll keep that money. No one else gets it. And then my profit margin goes up. So that was kind of the aha moment right there.
What a novel idea. And I remember one of my mentors back in 2014, when I was at one of the lowest points in my life, he got up and he said, the ultimate in real estate is being the bank. And you just said that, and I know for a fact, we've done a lot of deals, and on most of those deals we did, the lender made more than we did on the deal, and the lender did nothing. And you know this, the lender just sits there and collects checks, right? The mailbox money, when we're out there swinging hammers, dealing with contractors and all the problems. So it's tough to scale when the person that's being the bank is making all the money. So all we need to do is change that one thing in your life, which is what we're going to talk about in a bit. By changing one thing, everything else changes. We've been calling it the financial butterfly effect. So you change one thing and that ripple effect basically changes everything. And I'm so excited to tell your story and do this case study about your money problem and how we're going to solve it, because this change that you made didn't just make one ripple effect. I'll never forget when you called me after we set up your plan, and we got your plan set up for yourself, for Danielle, and also for your daughter Hallie. And we're going to talk about Hallie's plan in a second, because I think that's an interesting story. But I remember when we set them up, you called me up and you said, Chris, I found a way to make money 4 times. And I'm like, whoa. I talk about making money twice on the same thing. Most people know how to make money once, but we know how to make money twice. You figured out how to make money 4 different ways. And we're going to dive into that today. So, because I know there's a ton of real estate investors that are going to see this, because that's who I'm going to push this out to, and I know you're going to share this. These real estate investors need to hear your story, because if they could just change that one thing, and by changing that one thing, they're able to make money 4 different times. That's not just a financial butterfly effect. That's like the Godzilla butterfly. You remember that one in that movie from Godzilla, the butterfly? Ginormous, and it flapped its wings and buildings went down. So it just came to me that, in that Godzilla movie, it wasn't a butterfly, it was a moth, but who cares? Same difference. That's your financial butterfly effect that you came up with. Moth.
Instead of 4 times, it's 5 times.
The Godzilla butterfly. I don't know where that thing came from. Sorry, not a butterfly, a moth. That's your butterfly effect, and that's what we're going to talk about. So our goals are going to be to grow your wealth, scale that real estate business, help your mom along the way, and also buy your mom a car. But you know what? Why don't we get all the money back? So let's get the money back for that car you buy for your mom. So let's get on with it. Let's get into your journey. So one of the other things too that we haven't talked about, and we're not going to go too deep into it until the end, is your plan designs. So the way we designed your plan, Danielle's plan, and Haley's plan is very different than we would design plans for other, people that we help with the money multiplier. And the reason for it is you're a real estate investor. You, unlike some other people, have the ability to deploy capital immediately and make a lot of money in doing that. So when we designed your plans, and when we talked about how we should design your plan, we used a vehicle that gives you access to up to 85 to 90% of your money immediately. And a lot of people that are watching this, maybe if you're seeing this for the first time, I want everybody to understand this one change that we're going to make for Devin and Danielle and Haley, okay, is we're going to change where their money goes first. That's the only change we made for you, right? It's just where that money went first. Nothing else changed. So in that one change, we want to make sure that we use the right plan design in this specially designed and engineered whole life. That right plan design has to give you access to the maximum amount of money. Now, the plan we used, which is a plan designed for corporate use, designed to give maximum access to your cash, allows you to make a deposit. And then how about you tell them, remember when you first got into this, you were still skeptical. Even after you kind of came up with the plan, you understood the concept, you were still like, it doesn't work. There's no way it works that well. Can you tell a little bit about when we designed the plan for Haley, what was that test you did?
Yeah, I was still skeptical just because my business, I need capital, right? I need working capital. And we had it set up to where I was going to put in, I think it was 125 grand into my policy. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this sounds like it's too good to be true, but it's got to be true. What if though, just what if I put this 125 grand in and I can't get it back out for a year, 2 years, whatever it may be. So I was definitely skeptical. I didn't want to do that and just shoot myself in the foot, right? So I'm like, let me set one up for my daughter. And I set it up on, I think we did 6,000 a year. And I'm thinking I'll test it with this. So I'll put the 6,000 in. If I can't take 6 grand out, it's not going to make or break me. But I put the money in, got online the next day, and was able to get the funds directly out. So it literally took one day, and I had 87% of the 6 grand back out. And all I did is I took that money and lent it out at 15%. So
Did you really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I had another investor reached out to me. They were looking for their first rental, and they just didn't have the funds to close for the closing costs and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I'll lend it to you. It ended up being about 6 grand. So I just lent Haley's money out at 15%. So I'm getting checks in the mail every month for that. And it's just going into a segregated account and building interest there. So her plan is actually making money in 3 places.
Wow.
Which is awesome. But as soon as I saw that I could get the money back out, I was like, all right, cool. Let me fund mine. So I think the next day after that, I funded mine.
I didn't know that because, normally we say it takes 36 hours. The normal is 36 hours, from deposit to the time you got it out. So you must have made your deposit during the week and then your money just cleared because you probably did an EFT, electronic funds transfer, and then immediately you were able to take that money out in the day. That's rare. Normally it's going to take 36 hours, but you got it for a day. You had access to 87% of that money you made immediately. But the coolest thing, and I want to make sure that everybody understands how this works. So you were able to take 5,200 of the 6,000. You then basically took it out as a loan. Now that 5,200, this is what people don't understand about the infinite banking concept and what we do. So this represents 87% of the money that you put into the account. But the 6,000 is what you're earning interest on. So this 6,000 that you were able to take out in one day, okay, even though you took that money out of the account, you're still earning 4% plus dividends. So as of 2021, we'll call that 6% dividend plus interest. So your $6,000 is earning 6%. Even though you took 87% of that money out right here, you loaned that money out to a real estate investor and you're making 15%. So most people don't understand that the math on that is let's get rid of this 5,200 here. $6,000 is earning 6%. Then you're going to lose 5% on the loan that you take out. Because remember, when you take that $5,200 out, so the loan was $5,200. When you take $5,200 out, you're not taking your money. You're taking the insurance company's money, because you've got a death benefit that the insurance company promises to pay upon the graduation date. That death benefit, let's call it $100,000 for simple math. If we took $5,200, all they're going to do is they're going to subtract $5,200 from that death benefit. So this loan isn't really a loan. It's an advance of your death benefit, but the insurance company calls it a loan. And they're going to charge you 5% on that. So if we just did the math, how much are you making for using almost all of your own money? 1%. How much money were you making on the money when it was sitting in the bank account?
0.06.
0.06. I don't think I have a spot on here big
which
enough.
Which is almost like, why even pay me anything?
So
it's an insult.
So the bank on this $6,000 was paying you 0.06%. I'm not even going to do the math because it's just embarrassing. So that's how much the bank was paying you, and now you're the bank, and now you got to take out immediately, right? This is immediately in the first day, you took out almost all the money and you're still making 1% on that, which is more than what the bank would have paid you. I mean, I don't even know. How many times is 0.06 going to 1%? Anyway, it doesn't even matter. You get the point. It's just stupid. You use your money and still make money. And you know what? The best part, and you know this, Devin, but no, the people watching this might not. That's just the first year. Because of the uninterrupted compound interest that Hallie's $6,000 will earn every single year, every year your spread goes up. And we're going to look at that at the very end, because we put those numbers together, and I can't wait for you to see them, because it's just stupid. It's ridiculous. So now that we kind of understand what's happening, you needed working capital. You did Hallie's plan as like a test pilot. Okay, this was the test, and I love that, because a lot of people think this sounds too good to be true. And if it's too good to be true, it must be too good to be true, but it's not. And you had to test that out. So when you tested it out, that quote that my favorite guy, Will Rogers, says is the biggest problem in America is not what people don't know, it's what they think they know that just ain't so, just was put to the test, because now everything we said actually happened better than what we told you, right?
Right.
So what happened next?
So after I saw that it was real and I could actually get the money back out, immediately funded mine and my wife's plan, and immediately took that out. It took a little longer because of the size of the money.
Well, how long? Let's be clear on how long that took. So you funded your plan and you funded Danielle's plan, and how much did you put in total?
$275,000.
Okay, $275, and that $275. That wasn't new money, right? That was just money that you were saving for real estate deals.
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of people would look at this and say, oh my God, I could never save $275. But most people, if you're in real estate, you do have capital reserves. You have money waiting for the next deal. And a lot of people right now are sitting on idle cash, earning 0.06, and that would probably be a high interest rate by today's standard. So you put the $275 in, and then, so we're going to basically draw a little square here, and we're going to call this your IBC. And we put $275 combined into this. So how long did it take for you to take out that first loan, and how much was that first loan?
I can't remember exactly how long it was, but it wasn't long, like 3 days, 4 days maybe. But it was 125 I put into mine, and I was able to get out just over 109.
Okay. So 109 you took out of yours, and then for this first deal that you did you take any money out of Danielle's?
Danielle's was on the other deal. The 109 was for other deals I had going on.
Gotcha.
But they were both deployed.
Okay, perfect. So you took a loan. So let's just change colors up here. You took a loan from your policy for 109, and then you also took a loan from Danielle's policy?
Correct.
And how much was Danielle's policy?
Like 121, I think.
Okay, so 121. And these were each for different deals, right? So this was deal number 1, this was deal number 2?
Correct.
Okay, so we got 2 deals going on at the same time. Not so bad. All right, so once we did that, what was the next step? Like, what did you do next?
So I got the funds out. I purchased a property at $75,000. So I did the math on reno and the purchase price. It was going to cost me about 120 grand. So leveraging Danielle's plan, I was going to be able to buy the house, renovate it, and then get all the money back on the exit. So hers is being deployed on that property right now.
Okay, so we're going to use Danielle's money to buy this $75,000 house. And what is it? Is this house going to be a rental?
This I'm actually going to have my mom in. So,
oh, okay. So we're going to, all right. So we're going to rent to mom. All right. Now, so we're not going to talk about the 109 right now. We had two policies, one on Danielle, one on you. We're going to use the 121 to buy this renovation, this Burr, if we will. I like that because your last name is Burr. But you didn't just take the money out and buy the property. You actually decided a better way to be the bank. So what did you do with this 121 from Danielle? Like, how did you structure this deal?
So the way I did it is I was thinking I can take the money out for the renovation and just do a hard money loan like I've done all my other deals to buy the house. So it'd be a hard money loan for 75 grand. I started doing the math and I'm like, well, I'd pay X amount to the hard money lender. It was 15% on 75,000. And I was just thinking, like I've got the money available in the policy. I can take out the full 120, buy the house and do the renovation and then just act as if I'm the hard money lender and just pay myself 15% interest on the 120,000. Because I would have paid it anyways. So I'm thinking I'm going to pay it anyways. I might as well just pay it to myself.
So you literally took the loan from the policy, and this is going to cost you 5%, okay? Because remember, the insurance company is going to charge you 5%, but you're making the equivalent of 6% with dividend, which, obviously the dividends are not guaranteed, but we got 4% of that 6 guaranteed by the insurance company. So you're making 6% with dividend. The cost is going to be 5%, so you're making a 1% spread in the middle here. Plus now, you're loaning the money to so I would assume this is being bought by your LLC?
Correct.
Okay, so your LLC here is going to buy this house, but it's going to be funded by your bank at 15%. So let's take a second here and let's just do some quick math. So if you took out 121 and you lent it to your LLC at the same exact rate you would have given to somebody else, you would have normally paid this 15% to a hard money lender, right?
Right.
So they would have made 15%. But now, because you're the bank, you get to make 15%. So on 120,000, that's $18,000 a year that you're going to make, okay? $1,500 a month. That's $1,500 that you used to, just as a normal practice, give away to somebody else. Now, you're paying that to yourself. But your LLC will pay that back to your bank. So let's kind of walk through that a little bit. So your LLC gets this 120 grand. So now you've got the 120 grand to finish this house. And your LLC has a note to your bank. So you're the bank and your LLC is, a separate entity. Your LLC agrees to pay your bank 15% or $1,500 a month. So are you doing it monthly? Is that how you're doing it?
Yeah, I just have it on a reoccurring payment to myself. It's like a little over $1,500, like $1,536 or something like that.
Wow, you didn't miss a beat on that one. All right, so you just set up a bill pay, right?
Correct.
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind. So we set up a bill pay from your LLC. Now, where does that money go from there? That $1,536.
So I was just thinking of different ways where I could multiply the money, right? So I'm thinking to myself, I'm making money in the policy. I'm paying myself 15% interest. How can I make more money with this deal? So the money I was paying myself from my LLC, the 1536, I just am putting it into a high yield savings account. So it's nothing crazy. They're at like 1% interest, but it's a heck of a lot better than putting it in the bank and making 0.06. So that money just goes directly into a high yield savings account, earning me another 1%. So there's the third way of actually making money on the same dollars.
Okay, so every month we're moving 1536 into this high yield savings account, which we're going to call your segregated bank account. And the reason we keep, just so everybody knows, the reason we set up a segregated account is for books and records. If we're basically going to track all this and keep this simple, we want this separate bank account to basically be your books and records of all the interest paid and everything else. But you went 121 direct to LLC, then you set up this bill pay, and that bill pay pays 1536 over here at 1%. Not bad. One of the things I love about what Devin does here is he found a lot of different ways to maximize his wealth. Like that 1% high yield savings account. That doesn't seem like a lot, but it's enough to buy you a Starbucks each year and then some. And if you don't want the Starbucks, you can always pay it forward and buy the Starbucks for the person behind you. We'll call this number 1. We'll call this number 2. Because we're going to count how many times are we making money. So we're making money once here by being the bank. We're making money here by all of these monthly interest checks earning 1%. So that doesn't suck. So we'll just kind of draw that little line there. So the flow of money. All right, well, let's keep going. Let's keep walking through. So now you've got this house. What happens next? So you fully funded the house. You've got all the money. You're making money twice now. What happens with this house when it's done? What do you do with it?
So when I'm done with the house, I'm actually going to be buying it back from myself. So my LLC owns the house right now.
Okay.
And my wife has really good W-2 income, very bankable. So she's going to come in as the end buyer, and therefore I can control the purchase price on how much I need to sell it for to get all my capital back and get money out of it on the back end. So she buys it from the LLC, brings a down payment that goes to the lender, and then all the proceeds come to my LLC. I just pay her back her down payment. So she's into it for nothing. Mm-hmm. I get all my capital back, the 120, and I'm able to pull about $30,000 to $40,000 out of it as well.
So she, because she's a high income earner, has good credit, she's going to just is it a traditional bank, or where's she financing this?
Here's the beautiful thing about our situation. She works as a loan officer at Quicken Loans.
Oh.
Great situation where she can actually get special pricing. We don't have to put as much down on properties as the normal person would because she's buying it as a team member. We get lower interest rates. Like on this house, 0 closing costs, we got like 3.125.
Oh my gosh.
On a 30-year fix. So it's a great situation.
So she owns the house personally now?
Correct.
Okay. So she's the end buyer. So we're going to take, if the house is finished, we're going to sell the house to Danielle. So she's going to buy it, but she's not going to use any of her own money. She's going to use money from the bank. So the bank gives you a loan. So we're going to call this a mortgage. And did you do a 30-year?
Yeah, 30-year.
She got a 30-year at 3.12. Is that really where rates are now? Holy
yeah, they're low.
Smokes.
Crazy.
All right, so we finished the house. Now the house is done. Okay, so the flow of money came from your banking policy. You created a note for 15%. You loaned that money to your LLC, which then funded the purchase of your house. You finished the house, then you sold the house to your wife, which is maybe a bit unconventional, but like this is cool. This is what I love about it. Your wife is the end buyer, gets a loan from Quicken Loan at 3.125 at 30 years. But you said that there was some money that your LLC made in between here, right?
Correct.
How much was that?
It's going to be somewhere around 30 to 40 grand.
Okay, so we'll just put 30 to 40,000 in profit goes from this sale back to your LLC. So you're profiting 30 to 40, but none of this profit, none of this 30 to 40 comes out of your pocket or her pocket?
Correct.
And that's because you bought the house at the right price, you renovated it, so the equity is essentially, wow, this is brilliant. The equity is essentially what you're extracting.
Right. And then the crazy thing is we also created about 40% equity as well, or I'm sorry, 40 grand in equity, because again, she brings a down payment. So the loan on the house is $40,000 less, but the full proceeds come to the LLC. So I just pay her back that down payment. So we've got that 40 grand in equity, even though I'm extracting 30 to 40 grand as well of the equity.
Wow. All right. So that's going to be, and you didn't even, here's the best part. Like a lot of people would understand this, but they would have sold this house to someone else. They wouldn't have kept it in the family, which means they would have given up the asset. You never gave up the asset. So you now control, own the asset. You took the profit. So this is the third time you made money. All right. So now let's see. So Quicken pays your LLC the full amount, right? So the profit plus the 120 that was borrowed?
Plus the down payment that my wife put down. So yeah, the proceeds, I'll get her about 200 grand, give or take.
Okay.
42 of that will go to pay back my wife for the down payment.
Gotcha.
And then the rest is just in my pocket.
Wow.
To pay off the 120 and then get my 30 to 40 grand profit.
So then the bank pays your policy back as well, right? This bank loan, is that how the money gets back to your policy?
Yep.
So then we just take and we're going to repay Danielle's bank. And how many months will this deal take? So how much money do you think will build up inside this high yield savings here?
The deal closes, I think, on the 30th, so it'll be 4 months.
4 months?
It should be about 6 grand.
6 grand? Okay, so this high yield interest had 6 grand moved into it, which was the equivalent of 15%. So whatever, I mean, it's not a lot at 1%, but it's still something. You made 30 or 40 grand, you made 6 grand there. You still made the spread over here on your policy because that was always making interest. This is nuts. So you made money, let me get the right color going. 1, 2, 3, 4 times? Or am I missing something here?
It's actually 5 times.
Where am I missing the 5th?
So once I put my mom in the house, I'm going to give her a deal because she pays about $1,000 a month right now for her little 1-bedroom studio or whatever.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save her a little bit of money and charge her rent of like $900, which is about $120 spread that I'll get cash flow each month on. So she'll get a bigger, nicer place to live. She'll save a little bit of money monthly, and then I'll get a little bit of cash flow as well. So it's actually 5 times I'm making money with the same dollars.
5 times? Are you freaking kidding me? So your mom actually saves money doing that.
Yep.
So your mom saves money, gets in a brand new, fully renovated place, which is probably a lot nicer than where she was at. You said it was like a 1-bedroom place that she's in now?
Yeah, this place is 4 times bigger than her place and brand new. So.
Wow. All right. So this rental is number 5. So folks, I don't know if you picked up on that, but let's just summarize this. This is freaking phenomenal. Did I miss anything in this chart, or is that, I mean, because really all we did is we just drew a big circle. We literally, you know, if we do it here, we took the money from the policy, moved the money, created a note for IRS purposes, put it to your LLC, sold the property to your wife, who got a loan from the bank at a low interest rate. Then the bank gave the money to put the money back in your policy. So now your policy's made whole, plus the interest and dividends that you made, plus you got an extra 6 grand sitting over here that you would have given away to a hard money lender. Wow, this is nuts. Let's write this down.
The benefits go on and on. You got the tax depreciation, obviously. You've got the appreciation of the property, the forced pay down on the mortgage. I mean, it's definitely a good deal.
So I'm going to call this the money multiplier method, but we're going to sweeten this up. So most people know of it as the BRRR, but I'm just going to use your last name, and this is the Burr Real Estate Method. And I want everybody to understand this. You made money 4 times. Number 1, you made money on interest from your policy. We'll call that number 1. And that worked out to be a spread in year 1. So year 1, that spread works out to be about 1% for using almost all of your money. Okay, then the second place you made money is you sort of just recycled and recaptured the money you would have given to the hard money lender. So you became the bank. So this is you. And you picked up and made 15%, which was $6,000 over that period of time. The third way you made money is you profited on the sale. That was worth $40,000. Fourth way you made money was, what did I miss here? The high interest segregated bank account. So you picked up 1% there. And then the fifth way is the rent roll, which is helping your mom. I want to be clear that this rent roll also helps your mom tremendously. But it puts $120 a month in your pocket. And then we could, like you said, we could go 6, 7, 8, appreciation, second refi. And I know we talked about this, so kind of walk me through, like, when this property appreciates, which it probably will. You're in a great real estate market. What's your next step? Like, what is your next plan that you're going to do with this thing? Because we've already made a bunch of money here, but you have another secondary plan going on here that we didn't really talk about. So when this house goes up in value, what were your plans on doing?
So what I was going to do is obviously just let time do its thing and let the home appreciate, have the forced pay down of the mortgage. And then once I have a good amount of equity that I can access, whether it be a cash out refinance or an equity line of credit, I'm going to pull that money out and then simply dump it into another policy and then leverage it again, just like I did with this one.
So in time, we'll do a refi. And then that's going to basically come over here and create another second IBC plan. All with money that literally was created, I don't want to say out of thin air, but just through your business of real estate.
Right.
That's insane. This is awesome. I mean, I was intrigued by this, so that's why I actually nicknamed it the Burr Real Estate Method, which is not the traditional BRRR, it's just your last name. So I'm giving you ownership of this one right there, bud, because you're the first person that has figured out how to make money, not just 1, not just 2, but 5 different times. And actually, we could just keep going on, but people will all of a sudden start saying, that looks too good to be true, and you're living proof that this is not too good to be true. I always say real estate's one of the greatest investments on earth, but now you just saw a way to take this system, this privatized banking system, and the method, the money multiplier method, to make money 5 times instead of once, and still accomplishing your real estate goals. All right, Devin, so here's what we did on the back end. So, you made the decision to change that one thing, and you made money 5 different times doing that. What we made a commitment to you from the Money Multiplier is to create some tools for you. We do this for all of our members and all of our clients, and these tools are just going to basically take what you're doing and show you how much money you're actually going to have to use each and every single year on each plan. So these tools, these don't come from the insurance company. We actually create these specific for you and for all of our clients. So I wanted to take a moment and just kind of run through these, because I know you're fired up because you're using this in real estate, but let's really look at the future value of just the policy not the 5 different ways you made money. Let's just look at the one way you're going to make money, which is on the policy, and how uninterrupted compound interest, the Albert Einstein's 8th wonder of the world, the most powerful thing in the financial world, how that actually impacts your deposits that you make into your banking policy. So we actually have all 3. We had Hallie's, but we really just combined yours and Danielle's because those are the main ones we're focused on. So if we look at your plan, what we did here is we took into account what your deposits are. So you're depositing in your plan $125,000 a year for up to 10 years. Then after that, it's going to drop to $50,000. Now, one of the things we went over in your plan is at any time, if for some reason you couldn't make this $125,000 deposit, maybe real estate takes a dump or something happens, you just can't do that, you have the ability to reduce it down to $50,000 at any time and then go back up to the 125, because there's always flexibility to go lower, but you can't go higher than 125. Danielle's policy, we have the ability to put 150 in up to the 10th year. Now, a lot of people think when they see this number, they see the 125, they're like, oh, they get all these ideas. Oh, what would happen if this? Well, this is your option to put in 125, not your obligation. You have the ability to fund up to 125, but you don't have to. You can fund it $50,000 if you want, but 125 is your option in how much you can put in. And in Danielle's, 150. So from this point, what we do is we show you guaranteed values, which is just the 4%. Okay? The one reason why we don't spend much time talking about guaranteed, because a lot of people are like, oh, why do you always talk about the projected or the non-guaranteed values instead of the guaranteed? Well, it's very simple, and I want to be clear about this. This company we have you with has been around 168 years. And for 168 years, they have never once, not 1 year, not paid a dividend. As a matter of fact, the dividends that we're projecting on this right now are the lowest dividends that this insurance company has ever paid in 30 years. So you're looking at the lowest numbers in a 30-year span of time. So if we were to look at just guaranteed levels, that assumes 0 dividend. So we'd literally be saying, okay, we're going to only focus on guaranteed, and we're going to say that this insurance company that has paid dividends consecutively for 168 years is just for some reason this year not going to pay you a dividend. That is highly unlikely. So what we focus on is your projected cash flow. So what we do is we take your dividend that the insurance company is agreeing to pay you at today's values, okay, which those are not guaranteed, they can change. So we're going to take today's dividend and we're going to project out how much cash you're going to have each year for a period of 20 years. So year 1, you put 125 in, you have access to 116. Year 2, you put another 125 in, and then you have 241. But the most important number to really look at on these is not how much money you have, because just like you did, you put money in and you're immediately going to take that money out and put it into a real estate deal. I can't imagine you ever leaving money in this plan. I'd probably be pretty upset with you or start thinking something was wrong if you left this money in the plan. All right, so the second year you deposit 125 and you have access to 124. So you're still short, but not by much. The third year though, so this is what we call the marathon, right? This is that capitalization period. You put money in, the first 2 years you don't have access to all of your money. Even though all of your money is still earning interest and dividends, you just don't have access to all. But the third year, that changes. You put 125 in year 3, you have 130,648. This is where things for you start getting absolutely silly. Because let's just go to the 5th year. You put in 125, okay? And in the 5th year, you can take out 139,912. So in other words, that would be the equivalent of you walk into your bank. You say, here's $125,000, Mr. or Mrs. Banker. You come back 30 days later, and your bank says, Mr. Burr, hey, I know you put 125 in, but would you like to take all 139,000 out of your account today? You'd be like, wait, I put 125 in. How did I get 139? Well, Mr. Burr, you forgot that every single year you've been making deposits, we've been paying you uninterrupted compound interest. And you're like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. And then you're like, okay, well, if I take this 139 out, does that mean I stop earning interest? And then the bank says to you, no. Remember, we agreed to give you money from our surplus so that your money, your 139, just stays in the account earning interest and dividends, and we're just going to make a loan to you at a lower interest rate. But let's do some quick math. All right, Devin, so what we did here with this cash flow, this gives us the ability to really show you how much money you make each year. And this is the part where people sort of look at it again and say, this is way too good to be true. So we kind of walk through some of the numbers, but let's just take year 5. In year 5, you have a cash value of $645,803, okay, right here. So that's your cash value. But the year before, you had $505,000 in the account. So if we just take year 5 minus year 4, what that will give us is your growth that year, which is $139,902. Very simple. Year 5 minus year 4 gives us the total growth. But we can't use that number. We have to then take the $139,912 minus your deposit, because that year you deposited another $125,000. We're not going to use that to calculate a return. So we subtract the $125,000 that you deposited, which basically means that that year, from year 4 to year 5, you made $14,912. I mean, an easy way to look at it is if you put $125,000 in, you have $139,000 to use that year. But most people just look at that and they say they don't comprehend that. That is an 11.93% cash on cash return. That's insane. And if you're using this for real estate like you are, where every year you make a deposit and you take that money out and you use it to make more, we're not even talking about the 15% interest you made by being the bank. We're not even talking about the 1% spread you made on the high yield bank account. We're not talking about the profit you made on the property. We're not talking about the money you're going to make on the rent roll. This is just the machine, this specially designed and engineered whole life we did for you, working for you to make you money. And we're only in year 5. Later, I'm going to show you how this thing really works later in like the bigger years, but that's an 11.93%. Like when you see that, what comes to your mind?
Better than putting it in the bank.
All right, better than putting it in the bank.
I'll never get 12% in the bank.
That's for sure. I mean, a lot of people can't even make 11.93% in the stock market, let alone in a vehicle like this that has a guarantee of 4%. So this is the true power of uninterrupted compound interest. And this is the only vehicle on earth that I have found. And if anybody watching this has another vehicle that can do what this does more efficiently, please let me know. And Devin, if you know of one that does it better than this, let me know, because there is nothing that will continue to pay you interest and dividends on the money and still allow you to take that money out over and over and over again. And this is another nice thing to point out. We really didn't hit it. If something ever happens to you a little too early, if you graduate, and I don't mean from high school or college, I mean the real graduation, like that day that you go to a better place, there's a death benefit on your plan that starts at $7.6 million. So if something happened to you, Hallie and Danielle and your entire family line, I think they're going to be okay on $7.6 million. Even if we try to use all that money, that's fine. And later, look at if you make it 20 years. So if you live to how old would you be in 20 years?
A whopping 55.
So if you make it to a whopping 55, and then something happens and you graduate, you had a death benefit of $8.9 million, because your death benefit goes up by every deposit you make. That's pretty impressive. And that, we don't talk about the death benefit because we do not build these plans for the death benefit. We build them for the banking, so you have access to your money. But it's not such a bad thing to look at the legacy play, because that's what the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, that's why they get richer and richer every generation. Every time one of them goes on to a better place, that family trust, that generational wealth increases, and yours will do the same. But now what I want to do is just take one quick second, erase all this, and I want to show you how big of an impact this makes with both you and Danielle. All right, so Devin, now what we did is this tool with the cash flow tool, we also did a combined. We looked at your plan and we also looked at Danielle's plan as one. And in doing that, it shows how powerful both of these plans as a combined unit actually is. So year 1, you put in 275, we grow by 257. Year 2, you put in 275, we grow by 276. So now you see what happened by combining these. We actually have more money in the plan by the second year than what you deposit, because now we've got even more compounding happening, and it just gets nuts. By year 5, you put in 275, you have 309 to use. I mean, people can't even comprehend this. Imagine depositing $275 and then you have over $300,000 to use and nothing changed in your life. You didn't work any harder, you didn't work any longer, you took on no additional risk, and you didn't give up control of your money. You just have a heck of a lot more money because of how these vehicles work. So we did this, and we're going to send this to you, and as a combined unit to protect your daughter Hallie, we have roughly $16 million in total projected legacy. That would basically be. You think Hallie would be okay if $16 million, she had that in the bank?
I would be very disappointed if she wasn't.
Good answer. All right, and then the only other thing too now I want to show you is we went one additional round for you, and we created another tool that's going to show you the actual cash-on-cash return in 5-year increments for your plan, for Danielle's plan, and also combined. So let's bring that up real quick. All right, so this is the final tool and the kind of final home run stretch of your planning. So with the money multiplier, that one change that you made in your planning and where your money goes first, this is your Godzilla butterfly effect. Giant freaking moth, a big moth, not just a little moth, butterfly, moth, big. Your plan, 125, Danielle's plan in the combined, here's your cash-on-cash returns. So in the 5th year, it's 11.93 like we just looked. By the 10th year, it's 34.57% cash-on-cash return. By the 15th year, it's 162.48% cash-on-cash return. And most people don't even use cash-on-cash. I know you do because you're in real estate, and that's how we figure returns in real estate. How much money do I have in the deal? How much money did I make on the deal? That's our cash-on-cash return. Well, we do the same thing because the only way we would ever use a cumulative return to figure this out, and cumulative is how much total have you put in, 125 times 5. That would only be relevant if you actually put your money into these plans and never moved that money. You just put it there and you just left it alone, which your return would still be good, but that's not why you did this, is it?
Correct. I wanted to be able to have access to it immediately. Yeah. So that was what intrigued me about it. And the fact that it'll still grow even though I use it blew my mind. And I couldn't wrap my mind around it until I really, really started diving into it and seeing how the nuts and bolts work. But I was hooked.
Well, I think this should get you even more hooked because now you're seeing the impact of you actually using that money and still making a return. By the 20th year, your plan's at a 254% cash-on-cash return. Heck, when we combine yours and Danielle's plan, so now we've got even more compounding power, your 5th year cash-on-cash is 12.56. I got to write this really big. So this is year 5. 5 years doesn't seem like it's all that far into the future. It happens quick. Okay? By the 10th year, your combined plans, so year 10, your combined plan is 35.79% cash-on-cash. 15 years, which is now starting to get a bit into the future, but that's not such a bad thing because now your cash-on-cash return combined, 162%. And like I said, if you make it to that ripe old age of 55 years old, your cash-on-cash is 257.81. I mean, if that's
what's crazy is like 55 is not old.
No, that's why I was laughing.
I'll still have so much more time to get that number into God knows how much it's going to be on cash. So it's exciting, man. It's hard to like picture that far in the future, but it's exciting to think about for sure.
I agree. Plus the 5 other ways you made money. So you being the bank, that's going to, be bank. That picks up your 15%. So that's on top of this. Plus that high yield savings. That picks you up 1%. Plus your profit. In that case, whatever return that was, I mean, it's always probably going to be 20% or better. Plus the rents, which, whatever return that is, I mean, 5 to 10%. So you add all this up, I mean, there is not another place you could put your money and store your capital that can do what this does. So I'm really excited that you showed us how this works and how you figured out how to make money 5 times. Because heck, you had me at making money once, man. I was good there, making 12%, but we're not making 12, we're making 12 plus, 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 plus. So this is freaking awesome, man. If I had a mic, I would drop it.
Thank you, man. I mean, if I wouldn't have heard that podcast and heard how you explain this, I mean, I'd be in a different situation now, and I can only imagine 10, 15, 20 years from now looking back and being like, that one thing got me to where I'm at now. I'm forever indebted to you. So I greatly appreciate it. And the cool thing is, whenever I have questions and things like that, you're quick to answer on text and call me back and all that stuff. So I really appreciate you.
Oh, man. It's my pleasure, my honor, and my privilege to help you guys do this. And I can't wait to see how you actually take this and keep evolving it to make money more and more ways. Eventually, you're going to start being the teacher, and I'm going to be the student watching how you're using this. So thank you for everything you've done. The Money Multiplier is all about moving your money. And I always say your money should be moving just like a raging river. Devin's example here is exactly what you should be doing while you move money through real estate. He made money 5 times by simply moving his money the same way he used to. So folks, if you want to make a lot of money, this is just one example on how you can do it in real estate. And always remember, there's not just one way to skin a moth, a butterfly.